Aaron talked about it in a press conference, and he's kind of talking like offense coordinator for New York Jets. I like that a lot. He was talking about the consistency inside and outside. This is what he had to say about the offensive line in front of about 55 microphones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is what they talk about. Look at all the Carolina's obviously there and all that. New York media, though, that's the difference. This is what his podiums are going to look like all year.
Yep.
And I'm not going to say that Aaron's going to crush it, but like I'm very excited for all these microphones, all these networks that certainly maybe thought one way about Aaron, getting a chance to hear him. Because once he starts breaking down his offensive line here in training camp, and I'm assuming nobody's going to tell him like, hey, we don't need you talking about those types of things, which might have happened in the past in other places. I think he's only going to feel more and more empowered. Anyways, the reason why Damian Woody's coming on is because this is what was said by Aaron Rodgers about the offensive line that has led to Mike Greenberg and other Jets fans going, oh, great, we finally get a quarterback and our offensive line sucks. I don't think that's what Aaron Rodgers thinks. Here's what he had to say.
I mean, we got to figure out who the first five is going to be. So, a lot of guys in competition right now. It seems like they're switching the tackles left and right just about daily with Max and Billy. Just looking for consistency with those guys. I feel like the interior has been a bright spot, pretty consistent for us, both the first and second group. We just need a little more consistency on the edge.
Yeah, so he's talking like coach there. Talking like coach. Like he's talking to his teammates through the media and probably in real life. We'll talk to Damian Woody about his thoughts. He's been boots on the ground, obviously former Jets offensive lineman, and
of course, he won 2 Super Bowls with the Patriots.
Obviously, you've been talking about them a lot, and the reason why we wanted to chat with you today is because Greeny was seemingly losing his shit this morning because one particular part of the offense that hasn't been talked about in this entire celebratory tour that the New York Jets offense has been taking over the last 2 months is the offensive line. Everybody knows if you're going to actually win, you have to have a great offensive line. Have they not addressed that? Are they in some deep shit? How do they fix that? And is that ultimately going to be what breaks every single Jets fan's heart this upcoming season?
Well, listen, Pat, I can't speak for everyone else, but I've been a guy that's been vocal about question marks about the Jets offensive line coming into the season because they do have question marks there. Obviously, the interior part of the offensive line is pretty good. The question mark has always been the offensive tackles. We know that Dwayne Brown, who's 38 years old, the left tackle, he's on the PUP list, trying to work himself back from offseason shoulder surgery. Right now they got competition at right tackle between Billy Turner and Max Mitchell, and then the biggest wild card is Mekhi Becton, who's basically missed 2 years, coming back off of knee surgery. He's the most talented guy, but he hasn't played in 2 years. So you combine all of that, and it's like, what the hell? What the hell is going on as far as protecting Aaron Rodgers? Because, Pat, you and I know as good as Aaron Rodgers is or as good as, Pat Mahomes or some of these other quarterbacks, hell, if you're getting hit in the mouth, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you can't protect the guys, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you think about Patrick Mahomes makes it all the way to that Super Bowl with a bad offensive line, and then he ends up running for his life. They lose. You think about Joe Burrow. They make it all the way to the AFC Championship with that bad offensive line, but it doesn't show up until it shows up. Yep. You know what I mean? Like that is a real thing. So I think it's a worthy conversation to have. I think people, but there's ways to script around that, isn't it? Isn't there ways to kind of script around it? But I guess I just pointed out was, yeah, you can win with a bad offensive line, but you're not going to be able to do it. It's like you're not going to be able to get a championship. Can they make moves at this stage of the game in the NFL calendar to get a championship caliber offensive line, you think?
Yeah, listen, a couple of years ago, a guy by the name of Morgan Moses, who's now with the Baltimore Ravens, he actually was cut by the Washington Commanders during training camp. The Jets had signed him, and he had a hell of a year. He ended up signing a free agent deal with the Baltimore Ravens last offseason. So, like, these type of things can happen, but I think ultimately, listen, the Jets last year went 7-10 with arguably the worst quarterback situation, with the offensive line that was completely in flux with all the injuries, and they almost made the postseason. So when you add in an Aaron Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL history, a guy that knows this offense, that knows the ins and outs of it, the quarterback play will help the offensive line. But I think what we're talking about right now, Pat, is these guys got to be on the field. Like, they haven't been on the field together as a starting unit. They haven't been on the field together as a starting unit. So that's what we need to see out of those guys. get those guys, get those big boys on the field so they can start playing together.
Yeah, because they might be the best offensive line in the NFL. We have no fucking idea.
Yeah.
You know, that is the funny thing about the offensive line. It's like if 5 dudes come together and for whatever reason it works, like it can happen, and you can pay the most amount of money to an offensive line and it not work somehow. It's an interesting position group, and hopefully that won't be the downfall of the Jets. Greeny, what did Greeny say? He said, I want A.J. Hawk living in my house.
Yep.
I want Aaron Rodgers moving in as well, and we need Bakhtiari as a New York Jet on the offensive line. I think that's what AJ, did you hear that the same way I did?
I did. I heard that. Very similar, yes.
Yeah, are they in trouble? That's a real problem.
Yeah, they're in deep trouble. I mean, look, Dwayne Brown's on PUP. They started Mac Mitchell in the preseason game. He's not quite ready to be the right tackle. Becton took himself out after 7 plays. And in fairness to Becton, when you watch the tape, he couldn't push off his leg. Like, he's got a knee injury that's been operated on twice. He's cleared to play. But as you guys know, being cleared to play and playing well are two different things. So they got to fix that line. What is Aaron Rodgers what is his kryptonite? His kryptonite is rush, right? Tampa, the second half of the Tampa game, playing at home in Green Bay. That rush affected their offense. San Francisco game, in the divisional round, that defensive front affected their offense. You know, if he's going to have the year he's capable of having, that offensive line's got to play way better than it did last year.
Man, what a thing that would be to watch Jets fans be like, of course, we get a quarterback, we got all this, and can't keep him alive. Well. He's in great shape. Is that why he's in such good shape? He knows?
Oh.
He's probably going to have to take a little bit of a beating?
Yeah, probably.
He saw AAA and was like, I need to look like that guy. They don't have an offensive line. Are you able to figure that out? And there's some like some offensive, for instance, we talked about Cincinnati. It took them like 8 weeks last year for their offensive line to figure it out. Now, they spent money on that offensive line, but they were able to figure it out. There's some offensive lines where there's not a lot of money, but somehow they're able to find it. Or Damian Woody was on here earlier. He said a guy named like Morgan Moses. I think Moses was an offensive lineman that got cut from somewhere at the end of training camp, came into the Jets, played very well, made their team. Now he just signed a deal because he got good. Are those guys, can you find that this late, or is that a personnel issue? What do you think?
It's hard to find. I mean, Morgan Moses, I think he got cut by Washington and he went up there, or maybe it was, I think it was Washington. But, the guys that have experience, sometimes guys are hurt. They're not playing to the level. It's hard to find offensive linemen this late in the season. You got to count on some of the rookies. Like tonight, New England will play 3 rookies in their offensive line, all of them drafted in the 4th round. We'll see if they can play well. I mean, that's going to be the key. You got to find them guys in later rounds. For the Jets, they have to find a way to make it happen. I mean, Dwayne Brown's on PUP at age 38 years old.
When's he
stay
back?
Healthy at left tackle?
When's he back?
That's hard.
PUP is what, 3 weeks?
Physical. Well, no, PUP doesn't become actual PUP until the season begins. So right now, he's physically unable to perform. Once before the week of the first game, they either have to put him on PUP, they have to take him off PUP, or they keep him on PUP and he misses 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So what's the IR rule? Is that 3 weeks?
Yeah.
IR rule is different. I don't know what they did with COVID, but once you go on IR, you have to stay on IR for, I thought it was 4 weeks and then you could come back. They have to bring you back off of that IR list. But
we
the
like
COVID
that.
rules.
I
mean, that used to be that was the way we used to run the league back early in the day when you could put guys on IR. You could kind of stash young players on IR. That's what the Washington football team did with Joe Gibbs for years. That's how they got so many good players.
Well.